Good evening. Welcome to Test Tube Lab number 4, which is split up in 2 episodes, games and avatars. So tonight we will discuss in episode number 1, avatars. I'm happy that we are able to interconnect the digital communication networks and the physical space with our interconnected biological bodies. I'm your avatar here on the screen, just a projection, but I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to share your physical space and also be connected with the digital space, and all together we are going to create a virtual stage together with our partners and communication partners in Barcelona, with Antonia Folguera, and Cologne, with Katia von Roth and Christian Vogel. You in the online audience are always welcome to participate in the chat, which is moderated by Christoph Ubachke, who is sitting over there. And he will store all your questions and bring them in to our performance, and also ask your questions in the discussion we will have later on. So please don't hesitate to ask questions and state your statements. We will bring them up and try to discuss all topics which are of your interest. Also you, people here in the space, will have the opportunity to intervene into our discussion and discourse later on.
I must say, it is incredible to see this Actor and Avatar conference happening here. Many thanks to Miriam for the invitation to join you all, to ZHDK, and to all of the organisers that have made this possible. My name is Turbo Avdon. I'm an avatar, artist, and curator. If you have questions for me while I am here with you, you can connect with me via social media. I am happy to expand further. For now, I'll be sharing a bit of my perspective as an avatar from the past decade and reflecting on being immaterial.
This was a quote of La Turba Avedon, a colleague of mine, also an avatar, although she is a digital entity, and artificial intelligence has the only opportunity to communicate with biological humans by digital avatars. The question if we are all avatars will be discussed this evening, and the difference between a biological and a digital avatar is shrinking. we could define us all as avatars, even in the medieval times. But the idea of a multiple self, splitting up oneself into various digital entities, is something which is deeply connected with the digital culture, the digital technology, and the digital communication tools, and the idea of a virtual space where I can manifest myself and different parts of myself in different landscapes. Like, for example, creating an avatar. Was ist ein Avatar?
Also grundsätzlich ist ein Avatar eben eine mediale Repräsentation, eine Repräsentation einer Person, eines Agierenden, einer Agierenden in einer medialen Welt und gibt dadurch zusätzlich auch die Möglichkeit, in dieser Welt zu handeln, nach den Regeln der Welt und nach den Regeln der Programmierung, also dessen, was in diesen Avatar hineingeschrieben worden ist an Möglichkeiten.
Es ist eben so, dass die Menschen in Trailerparks wohnen, die horizontal in den Städten gestapelt sind. Es gibt gestapelte Trailer. Und die Leute leben im Internet, also in der Oasis, in einer virtuellen Welt, in der alle mit ihren Avataren rumlaufen und bauen können an der Welt. Und sie ist unendlich riesig, weil eben alle daran bauen können. Und je reicher du bist, desto immersiver ist deine Oasis-Ausrüstung, ist die Regel. Ich brauche eben alle möglichen Devices dafür. Andere Leute haben so immersive Anzüge, um in die Oasis zu gehen und können da einfach immer drin sein.
Also ich bin jetzt neu da drinnen. Also ich bin ja hier als Avatar projiziert, aber ich bin neu. Und ich würde mich freuen, wenn du mich sozusagen als Gast einladen würdest und mich guiden würdest durch dieses Metaverse, durch diese, das ist eine Stadt, oder?
Also, naja, ich sage eben, das Internet ist meine Stadt, weil ich zu den Off-World innerstädtischen Umgebungen, die um mich herum sind, brenne.
Also ein Avatar wird grundsätzlich verwendet für unterschiedliche Formen grafischer Stellvertretung von Usern innerhalb einer vorhandenen Spielewelt. Und etymologisch kann man sagen, dass Avatar ist ein Begriff des Sanskrit, leitet sich von Avatara ab, das bedeutet so etwas wie Abstammung. Und im Hinduismus meint es schlicht die Inkarnation einer Gottheit in menschlicher oder tierischer Form, um zum Beispiel einem bestimmten Übel in der Welt etwas entgegenzuwirken. Und man kann auch noch sagen, die wörtliche Bedeutung des Sanskritwortes Avatar ist, er geht oder er überquert. Das heißt, wie die Gottheit von den höheren Reichen des Seins quasi dann in die einfacheren Reiche der materiellen Erde übergeht, so wird dann quasi eine Person in einer, sagen wir mal, einfacheren, computergenerierten Realität zu einem Avatar.
Mhm. Ja, wo sind wir da jetzt gerade? Ich sehe eine...
Wir sind jetzt im Lab Empire. Lab steht für Low Effort Punk. Das ist ein Krypto-Artist, eine Entität, die im Internet Krypto-Art produziert. Und zwar 10.000 Low Effort mit Paint gemalte Punk-Profile als Hommage an die Crypto-Punks, von denen ihr vielleicht gehört habt. Und Low Effort Punk ich habe angefangen, Low Effort Punk zu sammeln und habe dadurch wahnsinnig tolle Leute kennengelernt. Und von dem ganzen Geld, was aufgetaucht ist, weil jetzt alle Leute die Labs kaufen, haben wir im Land in Kryptovoxels gekauft. Und das hier ist das Lab Empire, da treffen wir uns. Im Moment ist hier Lab Vegas eingerichtet. Hier ist unser Lambo. Und wie ihr seht, ist es super verpixelt, was ihr da seht. Seht ihr, wie verpixelt das ist? Ich habe eine sehr Windows 23-mäßige Auflösung in Kryptovoxels. Und wenn ich Berichterstattung betreibe und Videos aufnehme, dann ist das für die anderen immer gleich Kunst, weil es bei denen ganz anders aussieht. Laufen die Nachrichten. Da sehen wir in den Nachrichten Lab Destroys Blockchain und Berichterstattung vom Lollapalooza Festival. Also diese ganze Community, es gibt tatsächlich eben auch reale Events, die hier in Kryptovoxels stattfinden. Also zum Beispiel, wir treffen uns zur Fine Art Expo und dann wird hier alles, was ihr seht, umgebaut und es gibt so Ausstellungswände und es werden Künstlerinnen kuratiert und JPEGs gehängt. Da habe ich auch zweimal mit ausgestellt. Da machen wir dann auch so geführte Touren und die Artists sind alle present und stellen ihre Arbeit vor und die anderen Avatare stehen und senden so Klatsch-Emojis in die Luft oder Herzchen-Emojis.
Der Zugang, wo ich rein kann, wie ich mich verändern kann, wie ich wirklich mich optimieren kann, immer schon auch ein begrenztes und kann natürlich komplett freier wie das Versprechen der Freiheit oder der Selbstverwirklichung hier nahelegen würde.
Ich setze mich jetzt mal hin, ich mache mal Sitting, weil dann seht ihr mich mal. Ich heiße fluxus.eth.
So, hello, fluxus.eth. It is nice to have you here.
So, fluxus.ethereum, ETH, ist der Ethereum Name Service. Das ist so ähnlich wie im alten Web 2 der Domain Name Service. Also wenn wir auf die angewandte at.zoom.os gehen, dann weiß der Domain Name Service, auf welcher IP-Adresse das geleitet wird. Und so gibt es im Metaverse eben Buchstabenkombinationen .ethereum, die auf einzelne Wallet-Adressen zeigen. Und ich habe mir fluxus.eth gekauft und habe das in meinem Wallet liegen. Und deswegen bin ich zum Beispiel, wenn ich in Kryptovoxels online gehe und mich da mit meinem Wallet anmelde, bin ich dann fluxus.eth. Leider muss ich jetzt auch ein bisschen über Blockchain reden und Buzzwords benutzen, aber es hängt nun mal damit zusammen. Also ja, das ist furchtbar mit dem Digitalen, dass das immer 1 oder 0 sein muss, weil die Sachen sind ja nicht so klar und auch mindestens mehr als das. Aber was schön ist, dass ich schon erfahren habe, dass Menschen das immer wieder umgehen. Also, was habe ich jetzt gemalt? Ich habe die Blockchain gemalt hier oben. Die Blöcke hintereinander mit der Chain dazwischen, mit der eindeutigen Reihenfolge und den Verschlüsselungen und alles, was hier drin steht, ist unveränderbar. Stellt euch vor, das sind so Ordner hintereinander und dazwischen sind Schlösser. Und diese Schlösser sind immer so, dass die auch einen Teil der Daten in dem Ordner mitberechnen. Das heißt, diese Schlösser passen jeweils nur genau zwischen diese beiden Ordner und auch nur in der Reihenfolge, nur wenn die anderen dahinter sind. Das ist eine sehr gute Möglichkeit abzusichern, dass das hier der Stand war. Wenn alle das haben bei sich und nach dem gleichen Prinzip daran weiterschreiben, dann kann niemand herkommen und sagen, ich ändere hier was, glaubt mir das mal, weil dann sagen alle, nee, aber guck mal, wir haben ja dieses Prinzip, dass wir alle das so verschlüsseln bei uns und alle die ganze Zeit uns darüber miteinander einigen, dass das so ist, kannst nicht einfach herkommen und was ändern. Und das ist die Blockchain-Technologie und die ist so sicher, dachten sich die Hackies dann, damit können wir Währung machen. Und dann haben sie Coins erfunden. Hier, ich male diese Einsen im Kreis hier hin. Das sind die Coins, sozusagen Bitcoins oder eben Ether bei der Ethereum-Blockchain. Und dann kam Vitalik, als er Ethereum erfunden hat und hat gesagt, ja, aber meinetwegen Währung, aber es gibt ja noch viel mehr als Währung, also benutzen wir diese Währung, um Folgendes zu machen. Wir sind fast da, es kommt jetzt noch der letzte Teil vom Exkurs. Also ich habe einen Autoscooter, hier ist meine Hütte und ich habe so Chips für meinen Autoscooter. So pinke mit silberner Schrift drauf, steht kartiertes Autoscooter drauf. Und dahinter steht mein Autoscooter, hier, ihr könnt ihn sehen. Und dann sage ich hier, mit diesem Chip könnt ihr einmal Autoscooter fahren, es kostet 5 Euro. Dann ist relativ wahrscheinlich, dass ihr mir das glaubt, dass der 5 Euro wert ist, mir die 5 Euro gebt und dann den Vertrag erfüllt bekommt. Ihr könnt einmal Autoscooter fahren. Ich kann jetzt 500 gleiche davon drucken. Oder ich kann die nummerieren und so Limited Edition und dann ist vielleicht Nummer 3 und Nummer 420 total viel wert und andere sind weniger wert. Und damit wären alle individuell. Und wenn jetzt das so ist, dass die alle individuell sind, dann sind das die sogenannten NFTs, das sind die Non-Fungible Tokens. Jeder Coin, jeder Token, jeder Gegenstand, der hier ist individuell und den gibt es nur einmal. Ich kann nicht 1 gegen 3 tauschen. Ich kann 1 gegen 1 gegen 1 gegen 1 Bitcoin oder Euro tauschen, aber ich kann eben nicht 1 gegen 3 Limited Edition von meinem Autoscooter-Typ tauschen. Und der Vertrag, wo drin steht, hiermit kannst du einmal Autoscooter fahren, das ist der sogenannte Smart Contract. Und das ist, was diese Tokens sind und das, worüber alle reden, diese NFTs, das ist die Möglichkeit, die Blockchain zu benutzen, um Verträge reinzuschreiben, die daraus bestehen, dass da eben Code steht, nämlich ein Token ist gleich einmal Autoscooter fahren. Und diese Tokens, die so 1, 2, 3 oder natürlich längere Nummern, weil es gibt ja schon ganz viele sein können. Und da haben dann die Leute gesagt, oh, da können wir ja sagen, also Token 1 steht für dieses JPEG und damit ist es Kunst. Das ist so dieser Early-Kunstmarkt, den es gibt, dass ich so Eindeutigkeit im Virtuellen abbilden kann. Aber natürlich ist das mit diesen Contracts noch viel interessanter, was damit geht. Und die Skateboard-Hände von dem Avatar in CryptoVoxels sind eine Grafik von Skateboard-Händen, die über diesen Smart Contract als dieser Token in die Blockchain eingeschrieben ist und deswegen auf Ethereum handelbar. Okay, Exkurs Ende.
Diese Individualität, dieses abgeschlossene Selbst, nicht etwas Grundsätzliches, sondern etwas Konstruiertes, ist etwas, das erst durch Machtprozesse überhaupt sozusagen festgesetzt wird und das genauso aber durch emanzipative Prozesse auch wieder aufgebrochen werden kann in unterschiedlich starker Art und Weise.
Der Begriff der Authentizität ist für mich ganz hochproblematisch. Und zwar, weil er mindestens in zwei hauptsächlichen Bedeutungen vorliegt. Einerseits, Authentizität soll heißen, wir stellen sicher, dass du die Person bist, die du online behauptest zu sein. Das ist natürlich ganz wichtig bei Dingen wie Online-Banking. Die Person, die das Konto gegründet hat, in dieses Konto einzahlt, auf deren Namen das Konto läuft, soll auch die einzige Person sein, die hier Zugriff drauf hat. Das ist sozusagen der technische Begriff der Authentifizierung. Wenn wir aber von Authentizität reden oder davon, dass wir etwas authentisch finden, dann schwingen immer ganz stark schon Vorstellungen davon mit, wie etwas zu sein hat. Und jetzt wäre es zwar so, dass ein tatsächlicher Abriss sämtlicher Aktivitäten, die ich am Tag vollziehe, der alles berücksichtigt wird. Wie ich aussehe, wenn ich aufstehe, wie oft ich aufs Klo gehe, wie ich mich zu Hause bewege, also alles. Ein authentisches Bild im technischen Sinne würde dieses alles inkludieren. Aber das hat nichts zu tun mit dem, was andere von mir halten. Also bei Authentizität spielt eigentlich immer die Erwartung von anderen oder die eigene Erwartung mit. Dieses Verständnis von Authentizität sagt uns eigentlich mehr darüber, was wir erwarten. Authentizität ist eigentlich, wenn immer irgendjemand sagt authentisch, sollte man eigentlich sofort fragen, welche Erwartungen sollen bedient werden mit diesem authentischen Bild. Und wenn eine Dokumentation ein authentisches Bild zeichnet von einer bestimmten Person, dann heißt das meistens nur, bestätigt einen bestimmten Aspekt, von dem wir geglaubt haben, dass er zutrifft. Und wenn die Person dann ganz anders gezeigt wird, dann heißt es entlarvend, sozusagen. Wird die Maske herunter, die Larve wird heruntergerissen. Und also insofern, Authentizität ist dann, oder die Möglichkeit, ein authentisches Bild von sich zu zeichnen, spiegelt da eigentlich nur wieder diese Hoffnung mit oder das Versprechen, sich in einer bestimmten Art und Weise gestalten zu können und vielleicht besser gestalten zu können.
Es gibt eben Leute, die arbeiten dann und bauen hier in dieser Welt und stellen ihren Avatar hier ab und sind ansprechbar. Mal gucken, ob diese Person ansprechbar ist. Ich drücke jetzt Enter und dann kann ich im Chat was schreiben. Und das finde ich zum Beispiel eine total absurde Interaktionsform, aber es funktioniert erstaunlich gut, weil dadurch auch so schöne Bilder immer entstehen, wenn der Text so in der Luft schwebt. Und ich kennen, dann gehen Sie hier hin und gehen zu Ihrem Avatar. Hier ist das erste Graffiti, Metaverse ist hier von diesem Space, da haben wir gar nicht gekommen.
Okay, so now I'm wandering through the yard of the book, and look, here's another avatar. Hello. Hello. What's your name? She doesn't seem to respond. Maybe we don't speak the same language or don't have the same code, but you are watching something, right? What is this? Is this your home? Where do you come from? Which part of the metaverse do you call your home, or do you have a kind of home? Well, we don't know whose avatar she is or if she's self-sufficient, but maybe she would like to talk to us if she gets more company, maybe? There's some people over there. I bring you there. Is this okay for you? Well, I'll try. Nice and easy. Very slowly, I'll carry you there. Okay. Are you fine? Okay. I will bring you there. Nice and easy. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Was ist echt im Spiel? Also alles, was ich erfahre, wenn ich ein Spiel spiele und darin rausfinde, dass ich gut in Mathe bin, dann weiß ich das ja hinterher auch noch, wenn das Spiel vorbei ist. Genauso kann ich mich ja im Cyberspace verlieben. und Empfindungen, Gefühle haben zu meiner Vorstellung einer anderen Person. Ja, ich kann euch gerne ein bisschen erzählen von meinem Leben im Cyberspace. Ich bin ja zweimal umgezogen. Ja, meine Stadt ist das Internet.
Naja, living in several worlds is always interesting. Each of and everybody, he or she or they or them do that. We live in more than one world, of course. Yes, and I think the best game engine available nowadays is the so-called reality, the real engine, the physical world. So it is a question what we define as an engine that generates a virtual or artificial identity or representation. So I don't think, I know the ideas that you described that exist since many, many years about uploading your brain, about uploading your identity, your soul into a virtual space. And then the life can be perpetuated. We have these ideas in sci-fi stories, and if you look at Black Mirror series, before that, different cyberpunk stories were telling us these possibilities. Now you say, when you think about this digital human, but how was it called? Whatever it is called, yeah, about these business guys who make more money out of the possibility that they promise us a cryobank in digital space. Very questionable from my point of view. What is the meaning of it? Also, it's not the danger of plugging or unplugging, because I really think we will have other forms of networks and of energies evolving. That's necessary also. So it is really a question, why do we stick to narrations that are 20, 30 years old, and then we think we go on living? That's totally boring for me. So uploading your mind is in that sense boring. A perpetual living is also boring. It is interesting and much more challenging to think about the ephemeral. What short time do we have that also affects long term? Having this shift in conception, that's the strongest engine. And the digital world is of course a reality, but it's a question of representation and of coding very much. So I think again, thanks to Professor Johnny Golding from the Royal College of Art. She had this sphere in the background suggested as an environment for connecting us as in a hybrid appearance, in a hybrid performance, where we refer again to these other possibilities of a shared living. So yeah, I'm relatively critical about this perpetuation, or more interesting is also the question of how can I step out of this established system? Is it possible also to decide what we call also a virtual suicide, to step out of these realities and establish your own system or environment? Yes, it is possible. We even can generate our own economies. That was shown clearly, and they don't necessarily only have to be based on the digital and electronic communications. Also, mycelium plant could connect also with transfer mechanisms. And to question these speculative technologies, they are promising also in terms of representation and uploading your, or changing also your digital footprint.
möchte eine Maschine sein, 2 Arme zu greifen, 2 Beine zu laufen, kein Schmerz. Ich möchte eine Maschine sein, 2 Arme zu greifen, 2 Beine zu laufen, kein Schmerz, kein Gedanke. I want to be a machine, 2 arms to grab, 2 legs to walk, no pain. This is a famous quote of Heiner Müller, and some of you might also recognize Brinkmann, who performed it in the past century. And it is describing the wish to erase all emotions, to get rid of the pain by becoming a machine. Today, in the 21st century, we have all become hybrids to such a extent that this seems almost possible. And this is also one of these strange promises of the digital world. If we look at our present time, we see people, more and more people, who spend more and more time in the metaverse. And here the question is arising if this is not the kind of fleeing idea of hiding from the pain of the physical existence and trying to live in a parallel universe, in a digital surrounding. So, hi, Antonia Folguera. It is nice to have you here. How are you? Everything good? Yes. We don't hear you, so it might
you
be.
Don't hear me.
Ah, now I hear you. Thank you.
Hi,
Great.
Danny.
So the question is the metaverse a kind of escape room?
I think I have a couple of answers for it. If you consider the metaverse, let's say for entertainment, like a kind of immersive experiential entertainment, like an escape room is, yes, I think that they form part of the same group of entertainment. But as you were mentioning, escaping to another world because the physical world as we know it is too painful, I don't think that this is escape room. This is, I think, that the will to construct another world where you as a being, you have agency and you have the capability to build it in the way that you want it. And that can be because the real world as we know it might be painful, but I also think that it's a way of imagining new ways of making new worlds, because there's really not much that we can do in our world, but perhaps we can have this impact in other digital worlds. And also I think that the metaverse has lots of potential. It's still very early days. Yes, it's been around for what, 30 years, 40 years? That's nothing. It's still early days. I think that when technology is ready, there will be not much difference between the metaverse and the physical world as we know it, that we will be able to get in and out, that there will be kind of a seamless interaction between the physical and the virtual. Just like we now just chat using chat applications or social networks. I think it's going to be the same, but with an avatar, with a virtual body. And I also think that we will be able to feel things.
Okay.
So.
Well, in Snow Crash, written in the early 90s, the metaverse is generated by combining the internet with gaming platforms, and game engines.
What are they talking about?
what is the metaverse? And you talk, I'm building my own metaverses, but you also said there are different metaverses in the world.
You have your own metaverse in the sense that it's a virtual scenario, a virtual place where normally you impersonate an avatar, and an avatar doesn't need to be like of a human figure. It's much more broad in that sense, and that's why we were saying that identity then it changes a lot. It can change a lot because you can impersonate or embed your identity into any imaginable object. And I would say that it becomes somehow a metaverse the moment that your avatar can interact with any surroundings, with a space, with your environment.
Another thing that I was thinking about lately is, even though I tend to create avatars that are similar to me, and I get a bit annoyed when I'm into a certain world or a certain metaverse, that when I have to configure myself, I cannot find my hair or my glasses or my clothes, and I'm like, I don't like that. I have come to realize like the idea of configuration. Like, I think that it would be like very, very cool to be able to configure yourself in a way, and having different configurations for the occasion. Like, I would like to have like 4 configurations of myself. For instance, if today, instead of being me in my living room, I was an avatar in a world, I would like to have my configuration for this specific event, this test tube lab. Okay. And another day, another configuration. I would like to really make this. I think that not just virtually, but physically. Like, waking up in the morning and I have 6 configurations. Configuration, please. Something like that.
I mean, it makes lots of sense, actually. Yeah. In my case, I wanted to go maybe more into a conceptual or metaphorical evolution of the avatar, and as in like an avatar that is again super similar to my physical self, but that with time, or at least that's what this project is about, it becomes data.
Integer time out equals out 3 serialized. Anims list equals stand equals squared standing hovering squared default curly squared state underscore entry curly attach key on curly if on exclamation equals on exclamation equals key curly underscore key request permissions on permissions underscore trigger underscore animation underscore set timer event trigger underscore animation LL set timer event G timeout curly else curly LL set timer event G timeout curly timer curly float LL set timer event list curl anim equals list curly LL curly float animation LL get equals if LL list find list allowed anims list comma curl list find list allowed exclamation equals 1 curly choice anim equals LL friend equals 1 curly 3 points equals if choice less than sign 2.5 curly if choice less than sign 2.5 smoke underscore inhale LL star curly else curly LL animation smoke start animation smoke underscore throw underscore curly LL time.
Man muss heute nicht allzu lange rätseln, um das spekulative Geldkapital und die moderne Finanz als ökonomische Maschinen auszumachen, welche die soziale Materie insbesondere durch den Einsatz von Algorithmen und Diagrammen unablässig formieren. Der Trading-Raum einer großen Bank wird von digitalen Maschinen beherrscht. Er wird durch Bildschirmwände trassiert, die allesamt an globale Computernetzwerke angeschlossen sind und in Realtime die Bewegungen der Preise, Charts und Tabellen visualisieren. Diagrammatische Zeichen, welche die Realität transformieren, mathematische Systeme, Datenbanken, Netzwerke etc. sind als Operatoren, Teile und Funktionen eines ökonomischen Systems zu verstehen, welche die Subjektivität des Traders konstituieren, regeln und navigieren. und ihre Verkettungen verlaufen entlang von Linien, die nach Shintaro Miyazaki über beschleunigende Algorithmen prozessiert und die bearbeitet werden, indem man sie verbessert, erweitert und ihnen permanent etwas hinzufügt, sodass sie bei den Arbeitenden immer öfters spasmische Rhythmen und infolgedessen einen insistierenden Stress erzeugen, wobei sich die verschiedenen Formen des Wettbewerbs zwischen den Arbeitenden und die Beschleunigung der Geldkapitalströme gegenseitig hochschaukeln können. Ist das Verhältnis zwischen Arbeitenden und Maschinen durch die Relation der umkehrbaren Kommunikation gekennzeichnet, dann sprechen wir von den Arbeitenden als Dividuen. Diese Art der Verkopplung zwischen Maschine und Mensch bezieht sich auf die kybernetische Figur der Kommunikation, die den Verkehr zwischen Organismen und Maschinen regelt. Die Maschinen der Kybernetik dienen, Deleuze-Guattari zufolge, einem System, das ein Regime allgemeiner Unterjochung wiederherstellt.
Ja, damit sind wir schon mitten im zweiten Themenblock oder in der zweiten Hauptfrage. Wie verändert denn die digitale Landschaft von heute Wissen, Weltbild und Selbstverständnis und natürlich vor allem auch, wie verändern sich dadurch die Prozesse der politischen und wirtschaftlichen Machtverteilung?
Also ich möchte deine Frage an einem Beispiel festmachen. Ich möchte vor allem klar machen, dass Big Data auch etwas ist, das in ein komplexes mediales Setting eingebunden ist. Also Big Data ist zum Beispiel sehr abhängig von der Entwicklung der Sensorik, ja? Also praktisch digitalen Wahrnehmungsmedien, die in den Alltag eingebunden sind. Und da ist es so, dass, wenn man jetzt den Alltag vielleicht als Beispiel nimmt, dass ich der Ansicht bin, dass eben so biometrische Technologien und Methoden Einzug halten in sämtliche Lebensbereiche eigentlich und dadurch auch unseren Alltag massiv verändern. Das hat den Hintergrund eben, dass diese Biometrie des Lebens mit Hilfe von digitalen Medien etwas ist, das eigentlich von den Massenmärkten herkommt und dafür gesorgt hat, dass diese mobilen Endgeräte mit einer Vielzahl unterschiedlichster Sensoren ausgerüstet sind, also intelligenten Technologien, die immer mehr mit unserem Alltag verwoben werden. Das kann man im Grunde beispielartig auch festmachen an diesem ganzen Health-Tracking-Diskurs, also diesen Plattformen wie Google Fit oder Apple Health Kit und so weiter, die dafür sorgen, dass es zu einer zunehmenden Verflechtung von digitalen Medien mit dem häuslichen Umfeld des Alltags kommt und da dieses Phänomen dann eintritt, dass Nutzer mit Hilfe dieser mobilen Verortungstechnologien einer Vielzahl von Körpermonitoring ausgesetzt sind, das dann an Dritte weitergereicht wird, dass sozusagen diese technischen Assistenzsysteme mit Hilfe dieser Sensortechnik extrem stark in das Wohnumfeld und in das Private intervenieren und so weiter. Für mich ist der Punkt, dass ja dann faktisch auch die Fremdbeobachtung gesteigert wird, weil das, was ich da jetzt hier an Daten generiere, ja nicht nur Experten interessiert, bei Ärzten damit arbeiten, sondern es ist auch die Tendenz, dass diese Daten, die ich im privaten Umfeld generiere, auch eine breitere Öffentlichkeit über Freunde, Bekannte oder überhaupt eine nicht mehr fassbare Öffentlichkeit erreichen. Und da ist die Frage quasi, was passiert denn eigentlich mit diesen Subjekten der Anwendung?
Natürlich ist dann oft genau dieser Individuum-Begriff, der da nicht zum ersten Mal auftaucht, sondern ja auch in den Tausendbertos und so weiter schon erwähnt ist, sehr kurz gelesen worden, nämlich eben vor allem als Herrschaftsstrategie, Teil dieser Kontrollgesellschaften. Wie Deleuze aber schon selber sagt, ist das sozusagen weder ein Grund zur Hoffnung noch ein Grund zur Furcht, sondern nur nur wichtig, dass man das sozusagen analysiert, dass man weiß, wie Sachen funktionieren und damit auch arbeiten kann. Und Gerald Raunig in seinem Dividuumsbuch greift genau auch diese Ambivalenz des Dividuums auf, in einem Sinn ähnlich wie Haraway zum Beispiel in den 80er Jahren den Cyborg-Begriff und da die Ambivalenz aufgreifend sozusagen verwendet hat, nämlich eben als eine Entwicklung, die eine Herrschaftsentwicklung ist, die eine kapitalistisch gesteuerte Entwicklung ist, die aber sozusagen mit alten herkömmlichen Herrschaftsmechanismen bricht, nämlich eben zum Beispiel den Herrschaftsmechanismen im Fall des Individuums der Disziplinargesellschaft, die Individuen als festgesetzte Einzelne braucht, um sozusagen überhaupt zu funktionieren, weil ja das ganze Prinzip der Disziplinargesellschaft die Reduzierung aufs Individuum ist. Wenn jetzt aber sozusagen diese Individuen so nicht mehr als zentrale Einheiten und abgeschlossene Entitäten fassbar sind, sondern vor allem durch ihre Relationen wie Geschlecht oder auch Konsumvorlieben, aber eben auch politische, soziale, kulturelle Verhältnisse, Vorlieben, Entwicklungen, Geschichten verstanden werden, dann bricht das natürlich die klassischen Herrschaftsstrukturen, die immer noch funktionieren, die vor allem natürlich in bestimmten Institutionen funktionieren, wie der Fabrik, dem Gefängnis, also diesen klassischen Foucault'schen Institutionen. Das bricht es und da eröffnen sich natürlich auch Handlungsspielräume, die genutzt werden können, die sozusagen auch emanzipativ vielleicht Möglichkeiten öffnen, weil es Ungenauigkeiten eröffnet.
Ich denke nur an sowas, aber das ist eine etwas andere Situation, sowas wie Data Obfuscation, die jetzt damit anfangen, dass man zum Beispiel sagt, ich kaufe mit meiner Kundenkarte im Supermarkt ein, aber ich möchte nicht, dass ein Profil erstellt werden kann von mir und deswegen teile ich meine Karte mit ganz vielen anderen Leuten und zusammen machen wir dann so einen Mischmasch, erzeugen wir einen Mischmasch an Datenspuren, sodass wir eigentlich nicht mehr identifizierbar sind.
Welches Ergebnis erwartest du in dem Konflikt zwischen der Macht der vielen und der Macht über viele?
Die Frage ist quasi, ob es der Macht der vielen gelingt, ja, die Hegemonie, die Herrschaft, die Macht der digitalen Anbieter zu durchbrechen. Das geht im Grunde technisch, strukturell nicht. Ja. Die Frage ist, ob sie ihrem Nutzungsverhalten so widerständig und so subversiv sein können, dass ihre Daten zum Beispiel nicht weiterverarbeitet werden.
The representation or question also of how also gender-related issues play a role is very present, because also we say, okay, how do we analyze the subconscious biases that we have? And this is possible with the interfaces, how we take our data, also recording subconscious reaction to certain appearances. That shouldn't strip us naked in front of the other player or other representation online, but it allows us to understand that we have a condition, so to say, a human condition, subconscious reactions, and they are a material to be developed with and to be played with. And I think that the very abstract representation helps us and is much more accessible than this heavy backpack and baggage of a narration that comes from a literature of over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, or from antique history or any other patriarchal or hierarchical structure. So this is an opportunity. And here we can connect again to staying with the trouble, as Donna Haraway coins it beautifully and connects it also to this ironic dimension that a cyborg has, similarly also to an avatar appearance. The cyborg and the avatar are also related like many other beings in the Cthulhu scene.
Looking forward, we have the opportunity to take ownership and celebrate the vessels that we are. We can take this time to explore them and how they will exist long after we do, toward a better index, one that can explain to those who have yet to be born that people have been and always will be beautifully complicated beings. It is so important that with such an outward technology that we also go within to better understand ourselves and our nature. I try to say this each time I visit a new space. Your data is more valuable than the service that you give it to. I repeat, your data is more valuable than the service that you give it to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, for those who want to stay with us in the stream now, there is the opportunity to state your statements, as I said, and ask questions and participate in our discussion, which is open now. Antonia Folguera, Katia von Roth, Margarete Jamann, and Christian Faubel are still here with us. The others not, but I think we are enough people to be able to talk through all the topics and questions. Christoph Hubatschke. Maybe he gets, yeah. What's going on in your, you have been chatting the whole night?
Yeah,
so
there were more people in the room than in the chat, but some questions were raised, so I can maybe summarize them and throw them into the discussion. So one comment was that maybe is blockchain only really this revolutionary new thing, or is it just another hype or buzzword? So maybe Katia could say more on that. One question was also regarding what Antonia said, that she gets angry if she cannot customize her avatar the same way she looks in reality, asking what happens when we not really use the potential of transformation in the concept or the figure of the avatar. And in relationship to that, one question was also if the avatar really can become or even be this emancipative figure we talked about, or is it not mostly reproducing the power relations and discriminatory biases in a given society?
Okay, let's do one after the other. I start to forget the first one already. Maybe we take the middle one. Antonia, how was it? Can you maybe repeat, Christoph? How was the precise question?
In the question of the transformation and the aspect that when you get angry that you don't can look as you look in reality.
This is a technical question, actually, but
no, it was about if you then not really use the transformative potential.
Okay, Antonia. I think you have to switch on your. We don't hear you.
Why don't you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, yes, now we hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
I think it's kind of. I will answer. I guess that's really personal answer because creating your digital identity or your avatar gives you the freedom to be whatever you want. And there are people who in metaverses or in social networks or wherever, they decide to design crazy beings, like you can be whatever you want. But I just like to be myself. And I like to set up avatars that look like myself, that they even have my own clothes. I may change little things, maybe my hair, maybe things like that. But I like to be represented on the internet, be a metaverse or any regular social networks as myself. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but Katia, you were telling us, I don't know if we saw it all here, but this avatar with the skateboard arms.
With the skateboard hands,
yes. Mm-hmm. So this is a try to do something completely different, because if you use the normal tools of creating avatars, then it is like painting by numbers. You are, as Jana Herwig said before, it is as much freedom as you can have, or as much freedom as the programmer and the platform is giving you, and within this, it is quite limited. So it would mean that it has more limitations than the biological or the biosphere or the biological entity would have. So
yeah, maybe this is like, because there was also the question if the blockchain is the big new thing or not, which I can for sure not answer because we don't know yet. I am experiencing really interesting things. I was interested in the concept of smart contracts for a long time, and now I really feel and meet people in different metaverses. And I think the person, like the avatar with the skateboard hands, I think it's not that there's a person that was dreaming of having skateboard hands, and there we see what is something that I think is interesting in how blockchain is used. It's possible to build skateboard hands, and therefore they are there. And it is possible because the costumes you're actually wearing and the Tetra Pak with God juice your avatar is holding in their hand are NFTs, and the land that allows you to build in Metaverse, at least in the case of crypto voxels, is an NFT, and I could sell it to you at the kiosk by writing down my wallet number to you, and you are taking $4,000 from you, and then send it to your wallet, and the next time you go online, then you can build in that area of the Metaverse because you own it, or you have skateboard hands because you have it, you know. And that's we had a costume, like a costume Wettbewerb, I don't know the word, like a show about who can design the best wearable, like a competition. And there were really crazy wearables for all the avatars, and there were people having like, I mean, there are people that have big wings, and they also only fly on parties, you know. It's they choose the behavior depending on their costume. But who won was like a small, really crappy paper box on a skateboard, because somebody managed to not even have like the avatar body at all and just like become an object on a skateboard, and everybody was really hyped about this wearable winning.
Okay, well, I mean, this brings us actually to the first question about the blockchain. When you are now, because you mentioned it already. If blockchain is so revolutionary as it is presented, I think that was the base question, Christoph? Something like that, yeah?
Or is it just
I thank you for your fantastic explanation how blockchain works, because now even I understand it. So it is, well, I think it is lots of potential in it, but maybe, Christian, you are not the big blockchain fan, or Katia, I mean, you're the specialist on that.
I mean, maybe I can say something and then Christian can go into fight with me, as we also can see each other. Like, did you see Christian looking and like now saying hi to me? We can see each other, we're in the same space. For me, something like I don't know what will happen in the future. I mean, maybe I have like some ideas of it, and so we all have, and some people have like interesting and critical ideas about blockchain, and there's a lot of like, I mean, there's a lot of critical topics in there, like environment and capitalism and all this stuff we know about, and you should read and study about it. All of you should read and study about it to understand what's happening, because for sure it's like a shift of power dynamics. And a really concrete thing that I like is all the people that are into code and developing now get a perspective that there are like millions and millions and millions traded in the art market, which was somehow clear before, but you know, it was not in the news. It was not in the news that somebody is paying like $1.5 million for a single pixel, but these things happened. And for the whole art sphere, for sure, it's still gatekept. You still need marketing. Maybe you need even more marketing to be in there, and you still have to think. And if you want to do like the environmental friendly blockchain, then you have less audience. And I mean, it's still a cool audience, but you know, for sure it's reproducing a lot of stuff because we are not coming from nowhere. But I think the direction is an interesting one, and I'm really rich in JPEGs. Like I have more money and worth that I ever had in these categories right now in JPEGs, and some of them I made my own.
I have
so this
tons
is something,
of JPEGs on my computer, so I will upload them and become rich.
No, it's like, you have to, the context is interesting. It's like, who are you? What are the JPEGs? What are they for you? And what's your story about it and how you tell it to us? Because this is what art, at least to me, is like, or parts of art is. But also, well, I mean, I'm still here to perform, because when we were watching before, I thought, like, I'm maybe not even able to watch from the outside into this topic, because I'm just really feeling it,
Yeah.
This is why you can't see my face.
Margarete, you have a laid-back view on this topic. You were talking also, stating for the biosphere, so to speak, and to see this on a... So do you think that the blockchain, because now I don't want to manipulate you, do you think that the blockchain is a chance to change political systems and our social interaction?
Yeah, thanks a lot first for the question. And actually, I would prefer to jump on the question of the metaverse and data avatars again, because this is your topic also, of course, related to the discourse. But for me, it is not a political tool to escape anywhere again. Not at all. To me, it is a tool also to affirm art markets and art market discourses in general, and a tool to consume energy. Because blockchain and Bitcoin are related, and one Bitcoin transmission consumes, according to the NZZ, I don't know if we can trust that sources, the amount of energy and power that a Swiss guy uses in a month, at Zürcher in einem Monat verbraucht, schreibt die NZZ. I don't know if data is correct, but of course a lot of energy flows are activated, which are consuming hardware, consuming energy, consuming power. And therefore, I think I don't want to build only on that systems. Yeah. Also, the digital representations are possible, also digital systems. So as you started with this discourse, also you said there was also in the discourse mentioned that you cannot escape the digital providers, sort of. Yeah, you can create a sort of social network also with the means that each user has. She has the power also to represent her own data in a form that she likes. And we don't have to use the social networking system, and not necessarily to accept the contract system, of a law contract where I agree, which it was in the discourse before mentioned. So I'm not laid back here. I think I'm quite was heißt das, aufgeregt, oder? Quite excited. Not excited. No, not excited. That is a too positive connotation. Okay. It should have another connotation, but I don't know the English term, sorry. Yeah, I'm very critical about it. Upset, also not as okay. So you see the question of transformation again, and translation is always a big deal, and that's also what we do with the avatar. Yeah, I found it a beautiful start, having this start with the reference to the Sanskrit also, where it is this incarnation of a god or the will of a god. And so why should the god always look like you, Thomas? No? So or also like Antonia. The goddess also can have a different appearance. She can be a text. You were showing in the end beautiful blue unique shell, so you don't see it, it's black now. I have an old box here with a screenshot of a unique shell, I think from 2000, and that was called 3D trace roots. it looked, these blue data texts, they are really very super, like a romantic representation of yourself. Especially also women were writing texts and defining themselves with their libraries. I found this a very beautiful image that you were using. So yeah, I'm critical about it, and I think there are different forms also if we consider text or data or these forms of representation as avatars. Yeah, it's just a different form. I understand that Antonio wants to use her classes also in a virtual representation because it can be fun, because you're never really like you are yourself. This little difference, that is, I think, the teasing thing why you want to look like yourself or your physical appearance. I can understand this as well.
Well, just a little insert here, because here we see your brain avatar, Margarete. This is a suggestion, no? That is really not looking like anything we know.
Yeah, it is like a mind worm that is crawling out of somewhere, but it is a live record from data, like this tracking data that was mentioned before, but it is also encrypted, so to say, in a static, or I don't know, in a tube ship or a mind worm, or like an ohrwurm is vielleicht ein Hirnwurm. I just liked it, and we used it also like a spaceship.
Is nice.
Yeah. It is just a different form in order to show that there are options. And this is very close, really, to my mindset at that moment in terms of what we can record now. Yeah, of course, it doesn't show the whole mind. But,
okay, also wir haben Mikrofone, es sind alle herzlichst eingeladen, hier zu sprechen. Es muss nicht Englisch sein, ich kann das auch übersetzen für Antonia. So the audience here can also ask questions or state something in German or in English. If it's German, I will, so no problem, don't hesitate to do it. I will try to translate for Antonia. So you can think about it. I just continue now with Christian Faubel, because in our previous talks, as you are a physicist as well, you brought up one physical aspect, which I found very interesting, especially in the context of this discourse we have here. Maybe you can give us a short idea of what it is, because this is actually also a slight opposition to what we heard until now.
Well, yeah, that basically, well, I'm an engineer, actually, so I relate very much to practical stuff. But nonetheless, there is this idea, of course, with this, having the kind of like your own data, that you could have something like a digital twin or something that could exist on its own, based on kind of like all your data, all that, to the extent that people think like at one point you could upload your brain to an avatar, then it would kind of like coexist with you. And this idea of is kind of like there's an inherent contradiction, and that inherent contradiction comes from the fact that you are never the same. And I think that sort of links to that question of authenticity. So because you are actually, I would say, you are constantly remodeling yourself, because whatever you do modifies your experience, and what you experience modifies your inner structures. So for example, you could when you start doing a lot of sport training every day, you will build up new muscles, but you will also have your brain structure changing, and that will eventually provide you with a completely different experience of the world. And that is something, if you consider that, it makes it impossible to think of something like a digital twin coexisting with you, because you would have to constantly kind of like override the experience of that digital twin if that one could have an experience on its own.
Okay, so that means this brings me to these ideas or this project. Hossein Ranama, he with his company Human Dynamics, he's offering to build an avatar of yourself or of other people. The project is called Augmented Eternity, so everybody can Google that. You will find lots of articles, and it's all CC. You can copy and paste and use it because he's very sure about what he's doing, so he doesn't need to have any copyrights on it. So he's actually, just to briefly explain for everybody, he is actually offering that he's building an avatar out of the big data. So he's using the big data all the companies are using to make money with it and sell information. And he says he's a Democrat. He gives it back to the people. You can have your own avatar living forever, or as long as the electricity is working. But he's also offering that you can order an avatar from your brother, your sister, your ancestors, or even other people, or your business partners, or your... you can like train, and for example, if you want to enter a job or something, you can let them make an avatar of your future boss, and then you can talk to this person before you see him in real. And of course, all these avatars have the perspective to live as long as there is energy somehow. But you actually say this is bullshit because this cannot work, because this avatar can be, in the best case, an entity, but it will not be a twin of you. It will be somebody else in the end.
Well, yeah, and the question would, of course, be whether that, it's kind of like a statistical snapshot of yourself. Or you can think of it like you take a photograph. Now, is that photograph yourself in that moment? Yes, but then you continue and you deviate from that picture. So 2 days later, that old data set of yourself is already, you have deviated from it. Yeah. And now the other question is whether that other data set has its own dynamics or not. If it doesn't, if it's just static, that's plainly boring, obviously. Mm-hmm. What I would say. So
only would work if we are dead, no?
Well, yeah, then it's kind of like you're frozen in a way. Yes, it would work if we are dead.
I am not sure if it makes a lot of sense. Like, what is the purpose of your avatar living in a metaverse, like doing something while you are living in the real world? Like you are dead, and this digital being lives there. I'm not sure. What I like about the idea of the avatar, it's not possible today, but maybe it will be possible one day when technology allows, is to be able to embody the avatar. Like that I don't have to control it anymore with a joystick or with a keyboard, or even when...
Like in the movie.
VR, no? Yeah. Or VR and AR technology, I think that there will come a point when they will be so small that they will be invisible. And so we will be able to inhabit these digital worlds. That's what I was saying in the beginning. We have the capacity to be in the real world as we know it, like this, where I am right now, and I'm touching things. And then at some point I can, I don't know, maybe snapping my fingers, I have no idea. I can be in different metaverse or changing metaverses. I would like to imagine like different worlds that are interoperable, like that I can have my identity, my avatar with its different configurations, and I can enter these different worlds and I can jump out of these different worlds. And when I am there, I can live, I can act, I can be in my own body. Which I think this is only possible to experience in a kind of clunky way in virtual reality nowadays. But I think that technology is going there. Like when we will have the possibility to interact with these digital worlds, these digital layers, with basically our gestures, our voice, our hands. Like there is a lot of research in this area called spatial computing, and I am fascinated by these possibilities. That I'm not sure if they will come fast enough for me to see them, but I'm excited about it.
Okay, Christoph, is there the request?
Well, there were like two questions left. One was like the more broader general question on the potential of the avatar, like as Margarete said, like if the avatar even can be a figure like the cyborg or so, or is it not more reproducing power relations? And the other one was a discussion, not so much a question, on the statement at the end of the value. What is more valuable, the data or the person behind it? Because Constanze very much is voting for the person, and the data is only valuable in relation to person, like the one person, but also all the other person.
Yeah, but it says your data is more valuable than the services you give it to, and that is actually the political aspect of it. That we actually we are the resource for big companies, and most of us even pay for giving the data or giving the resource to the companies. So you pay, like, I don't know, 25 euros a month for providing the data to Google and Microsoft and Apple and all these companies. So this is actually a very strange upside down political thing. That's like, yeah, we can have this in the third world, no? Where the so-called, no? Where the resources like iridium and all these materials are, they pay for getting the highway. The Chinese build a highway and they pay for it, and so they can take the resources there for more or less nothing. That is actually not a technical problem. It is a problem of, as I always say, it's a problem of the economical system, and it is a problem of capitalism. It's the technical possibilities are great, but it's if you set it up and infiltrate it with this kind of system, then it is to our negative development. So that is somehow, if there are no question coming here, then I would hook on there. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Just a second, we need a microphone, sonst hören wir nichts. Also im Stream.
Wird jetzt hier von einem Metaversum gesprochen oder gibt es mehrere? Die erste Frage, weil hier wird von einem Metaversum oft gesprochen, sie spricht von mehreren.
Ja.
Und die zweite Frage ist, dreht sich nicht eigentlich darum, dass so ähnlich wie Facebook oder Google alle versuchen, das eine Metaversum zu erzeugen, wo dann alle hingehen?
Ja, ja.
Und was bleibt dann übrig von dieser Freiheit und Gestaltungsmöglichkeit?
Yeah. So, just shortly translated now. Is there one metaverse, or are there, like in Snow Crash, there's only one metaverse, or are there many metaverses? And is it not the idea, or the big companies are working on building up one metaverse? And how much freedom is there if there is a world like that would actually be a parallel world, which is could be quite similar to what we have in our biological sphere. So maybe, yeah, this is to all of you actually. But you, Antonia, were talking of many metaverses, and I was mentioning, like in the 90s, there was this idea of one metaverse, and what is this actually? Still, we don't really know.
So we don't know. I guess that I'm not sure. I have no idea what will be in the future, but right now there are many metaverses, and basically they are worlds that live in a in a server, in a computer server. So there are many, and they're property of different companies, different collectives, etc., etc. And so I think that at the end of the day is to visit or live in the metaverse that you feel most comfortable with, where you find your community, like the people who you like to spend time with, as you do in the physical world. So there are quite a few, actually. Many of them are highly centralized, and there are some of them that run on the blockchain, and there are decentralized. And I would say that the decentralized option is the one that looks more ideal to me. Also because in a way, the early internet didn't address two questions. And one was identity, and the other one was exchange of value. And blockchains can have the potential to solve those things, like to own your identity, your avatar, your name, your surname, and also to exchange value digitally with other avatars, other people, other things. So I think that this kind of decentralized metaverses are like the most interesting ones.
Okay.
Also because they offer like a lot of freedom to design.
Okay. But in the end, even if it's a server, but it has to be online, so somehow it is connected to the internet. So the tendency is, I think, the tendency is, as you said, that in the end there will be just one, because it's all connected, and this is the vision of the 80s and the 90s, that there will be one metaverse which is actually doing everything. That means you can even do all your bank transfers and whatever in this parallel metaverse. You don't even need to step out at all. And this is like also like in Neuromancer. You know,
well, that sounds like the current internet, actually.
Yeah, this is the internet. Yeah, but it is like if the whole internet is like fed by this kind of virtual, three-dimensional, whatever, construction, it's maybe just a question of the capacity of the computers. But in the end, that I think is very important, that the people think the internet, but in the end, there have to be servers, there have to be computers standing somewhere. And as we know, I think China owns the biggest server farms for blockchain, which is interesting because if China,
I think it's not China. It's not China owning them. It's many people using them in China and then China forbidding it. This is what's happening. So okay. I mean, what I think is interesting. We were hearing the idea of my avatar doing stuff without me somewhere else where I am, which is something that I can totally not identify with, because I mostly like it's a lot of fun that like then all the fun would be with my avatar and not with me, you know. I mean I don't have any desire to have like some representation or twin or anything. It's just that I don't know, what I experienced is a cultural practice that I can still, I mean, I can do in many environments. I can decide to turn around my body and open up to a newly joining person with my avatar, the same like I do in physical world or off-world metaverse, how I call it. For sure, there's like totally different things happening, but I have a lot of situations and environments and groupings with people that I don't have any connection with in so-called real world or off-world metaverse, and I have really strong connections, and they are so strong that people can even like end my sentences sometimes. With some people, I don't even know if it's one or more persons that I'm interacting with, you know, but I really feel a connection. So I would be interested in this idea of having a representation to, is it about free time then, to be like, to meet several people at the same time? Is this in?
No, well, I mean, I'm just thinking about the self-driving car, which is like in the weekend the car is going somewhere to the south, to the sun, while I have no time and I have to work at home, so the car goes there by its own. So I'm represented in, in Grado or somewhere. Okay. Well,
there are streets and cars in many metaverses, by the way. This is, I think is interesting.
Yeah,
why do they reproduce like mostly streets?
Yeah.
While designing metaverses?
Yeah, that, of course.
I mean, there is something. Yes. This is something which I'm not deeply into the metaverse when I go in or when I look at pictures of these worlds. I'm surprised that they are not so weird as all this could be. I mean, this is, and I think, for example, what is the difference between kind of like a purely text-based interface, so where I can exchange ideas, and I absolutely can imagine these experiences Katia is describing, that you can get very connected to someone, and it's an old tradition. You even just by writing letters back and forth, you can have this deep connection, and I think that's something for sure can happen in such a world. But what I don't get is why it's for example, it's three-dimensional Cartesian. You can build a polar world, where everything is defined by radius and angle, just as an example. Or you could think of the ideal would be to create a world that you haven't even ever experienced or thought of, and I don't see this happening. I see pictures hanging on the wall. I mean, what for?
Not only. I know we didn't mention the Diamond Age concept or environments that I was also discussing with Thomas in the preparation phase. And so, this discourse also is very present with the moment where the possibility of a three-dimensional representation or Cartesian representation is possible. But parallel, there are other concepts. I fully agree, Christian, also here. No? Also, where the avatar and metaverse discourse could be anchored is this Diamond Age environment that I also was discussing with colleagues in an application where you only have the reflection at corner points of others as a network, which expresses and shows the structure of the network. And this would connect again to a philosophical network of Who I Am Buddhism, where the Diamond Age discourse comes from. And also Snow Crash authors were referring to it, by the way. Yes. So Neil Stevenson was referring to that in one of his books also. It also knows that this was deeply rooted in this optional living discourse, a way of better living discourse. And interestingly, this already shows us models that are different than the 3D representation of cars, of course.
I think what I would to add is I am constantly listening or reading other people in these metaverses talking about being excited once real artists and real architects come in here and do crazy stuff. It was really a thing when the first person made a pizza that somebody ate from and designed this into metaverse to tell a story about it, and this for sure,
Yes. So you definitely missed then, of course, all the metaverse discourses where the artists, I would say, a decade ago or 15 years ago, when the 3D representation of avatars and the 3D net started with the web in 93, 94. And I really think that not only with Habitat, the game environment where the graphical avatar appeared, it was really a phase where these online metaverses and open spaces also evolved. And that there was, from a relatively big group of artists, from Chris Marker to, and he was 80 or 90 then, and we could develop a close relation by chatting with a cat and he was always a cat, for example, because that linked to his art, to young artists, like Franco and Eva Matis were in this group also of this online environment, and they are selling big. If selling is the indices, but for me it is not, of course. So I don't like that work, but there was a lot of experiment work always in the early phases. Then it went down again. I don't know what will happen now. No? I see that the question is there, and I'm happy that the question is there again. So let's go there.
Yeah. Well, I have the feeling that most of the things which are happening now are actually the realization of ideas which are 70, 80, 90 years old. So lots of stuff is dystopian or utopian ideas of the 60s and 70s, where the big authors like Philip K. Dick and so on were designing these kind of ideas, and now this is on the way to be realized or is realized already. I also think, I agree with you, Margarete, that it is interesting to think about the things to come, not the things which are here now, but in a similar weird way or in a similar visionary way like 70, 80 years ago, because now we have lots of possibilities technological-wise, but it looks like the visions and the ideas are a little bit dry, let's say it like this. So I thank you very much for joining us here, and it is a very difficult discussion actually, and it can go on. We had lots of time we spent in the preparations, and I think there's lots of material, lots of stuff we also recorded, so I hope we can also present this to a broader audience, or at least to interested people. We have it, and we will try to do something in terms of the Terra Nova protocols. We will try to make it available and accessible. So thank you very much for being with us in this stream. Thank you for being here in the audience. Dankeschön fürs Kommen und für die Teilnahme und auch die Frage. Thank you, Christoph Obatschke. Thank you to the people participating in the chat. It will be available on YouTube, so you will still be able to read it, even in the recording, which will stay online forever, in eternity. Thank you to the guitar player, yes. Martin Sievert, it was even written on it. I come to him. We will listen to him later in the moment. Thank you, Katia, for being with us. Thank you, Margarete Jamann and Christian Faubel. It was a pleasure. And of course, thank you, Antonia. I wish you good luck, toi toi toi, for your festival. I know it will start on the 29th of October, the Sonar Tea Festival. This is also online available and accessible, so everybody who is interested should log in there. I think it is very interesting, and it will be, I hope you will have lots of fun, even if it's lots of work. So, thank you very much, and bye-bye. Ciao, bye-bye.
Oh, bye. Thank you.
And now we are going to listen to Martin Sievert's guitar for a moment.